Much to everybody. Yeah, I'm looking a little bit bedraggled. Now I'm dealing with two fur babies. And today was my music class with one of my students. So I'm using, at the moment, I'm just using the keyboard that's here from what I usually use for my music class, because I don't usually use my other equipment for younger students. In fact, I prefer everybody to have their own equipment because I break out into terrible hives. It's getting better now. And because my skin is so sensitive, I remember when I was teaching music in the schools, I would break out into horrible hives because students wouldn't wash their hands. The parents didn't know that, hygiene comes first. Now after COVID, we know that this is like an important thing, and I had to remind students. And also the environment. When you're working in an environment and mainly guys are running the show, the last thing they think about is keeping like the carpets clean and washing certain sections and cleaning up areas. So because I am prone to skin germs, I guess you call them germs, I cannot work in normal functioning environments with schools for students in the United States. In Japan, it was a totally different story. We always learned to grow up and clean our stuff because I went to a Japanese school as a child. And at a very young age, we learned how to deal with hygiene and all that stuff. And when I started teaching in the spaces, that's why I'm not teaching in a school anymore, because I am not prepared to put myself in a situation where my skin breaks out into so much hives, my skin peels and gets damaged that I need to go to hospital and get like creams and stuff, because that's just not the way to live. So for me, I've had to be a little bit more cautious as to how to go about doing things, which is okay. That's part of what I've had to accept about myself. So dealing with another pet that has other needs besides a cat also brings in other concerns, which is probably why I did break out a little bit into some hives. Okay, so I'm gonna go into this book, The Peanuts, and I have a whole bunch of video clips of students that I taught in the past. I might just link them all on here from my other channel, which is a much older channel, but I haven't really focused on it. But I'm definitely going to just put the links of all the things I've done underneath my registered company with the students that I also had from Guitar Center at some point, and they shifted into private classes with me. So this is what I'm dealing with now. Let's do Peanuts. Wait. I don't have a pedal on here, so I'm not going to worry about a pedal. So when I teach music, I generally teach separate hands, if that helps. Okay, so what I would usually do when I do teach is I have students write the notes in. By then you have to know more or less what the notes are, or you figure out what the notes are from middle C and up, and then the left hand. And then I have them separate the hands of the pieces. And yeah, this is an F major, B flat. F major, B flat. That's what I'm dealing with here. This is a great book, as I said. I'm not going to get into too much today because I'm actually tired from a lot of the things that I'm doing. this is just my section. If I do have a student that comes in, I have to do it on a separate keyboard because I feel it's necessary to have like a separate thing, which is, you know, after my experience teaching in music schools, I just, you know, I just couldn't deal with hygienic issues. And, you know, in the States, it's different than going overseas to like Singapore or Japan, for instance, where hygiene becomes a very, very serious thing. And you can't even chew chewing gum in Singapore, for instance, and throw it on the ground because you get fined. You could even go to jail. So people take things differently, and I've accepted the fact that the United States is not the same as Japan. I would most definitely teach music in Japan versus teaching in public in a classroom full of students, because I've already had that experience for 5 years now, and I don't know if I would personally do that again. After my experience, I just realized that it was not the space that I wanted, and restricted because I do have more than one skill besides music. And I felt that going into an environment that focused only on teaching music did not allow me to grow and advance as an artist in general. So the one place that I find comfortable and confident within the environment that allows me to be myself is definitely online, because I can kind of spurt out my skills and develop different things in different like apps and different areas. And that's how I see it, because I am not just a one-man show. I do many things, and it's just how I am. And I refuse to fall into that category of people assuming that you have to be one type of thing. Like, I studied more than one skill, and I'm not prepared to give up all of the things that I'm capable of doing for one specific genre in an environment that does not respect or care for other people's hygienic essentials. Hopefully it's changed now through the differences of what happens in environments. But I also feel that people need to understand that each person has different needs and their bodies are different, and people need to be aware that everybody's different. There's not one person on this planet you can say, I mean, they're trying to make people one type of person. If you're in an environment where you're teaching specifically off of what they're having you do, they're making you a robot. You're not being yourself. You're not being your authentic self. You are being trained to be a servant to society. I mean, everything really is, isn't it? But I mean, at least there's freedom on the internet, and I feel like I'm allowed to be who I am, who I really am, within a space that I'm capable of, you know, controlling. I don't like to not be in control of situations, because, yeah, there are lots of things. There've been a couple of flaws at Guitar Center in how things are done, and there are a couple of many flaws at Bach to Rock, where I was teaching. And because a lot of the people were a lot younger who were hired to position themselves as directors or whatever you want to call it, managers, they didn't listen to suggestions, or suggestions were not taken in until it was too late. And obviously, you know, in the end it turned out that I was actually right. So, you know, it's okay. That's their problem. So that's why I don't teach in schools anymore. I just sort of step away from that until the education system in the United States figures it out a little bit better, because I have studied in 5 different countries, and the way you're educated in different countries is different, you know. And the States is very slack. They're extremely easy going on the students, and then they're disrespectful to teachers. So teachers do not get as much respect. So I'm not teaching anymore in an environment. I'm just not going to do it. This is as close as I'll get to teaching, where I can have my own say and I can speak up for what I believe and what I think is relaxing and easygoing in an environment space where I feel confident and comfortable knowing that I don't have to worry about touching something and breaking out into things on my face and problems with, I don't know, like lots of things, me getting constantly sick. I was always sick. I was always sick in environments where there were many, many students. I cannot do that anymore. So safety first for me. Health comes first in my life now. And I don't put myself in jeopardy because other people expect me to do or be a certain way. And that's just who I am. And the reason why fashion and music work for me is because fashion is textiles, and you cannot sell items that have the smell of cigarettes, the scent of, or have any fluff on it, any scent. It has to be absolutely pristine shape. It has to be quality. And I can offer that because I did study fashion as well as working with designers. And I remember going into fashion houses and there was no smell of smoke or smell of germs, because you can smell germs. Like if you're dealing with, I'm highly allergic to penicillin, and penicillin is considered a fungi. And if a place is damp and dreary and full of watermarks and stains on the ceilings, you know full well that there's definitely going to be fungus. And it's probably how I had bad reactions to certain situations. It was terrible. I will not put myself in a situation like that ever again. You live and learn, that's just how it is. So yeah, today is just a little bit of an explanation of why I'm not teaching in a music school, because of certain health hazards and hygienic concerns that I've had, knowing I've lived in different countries and things are a little bit different overseas than you find in the States. People are a lot slacker here. They're not aware. I mean, I just saw I just saw a news discussion on how dirty your shoes are. Oh my God. And I always tell people to take your shoes off, please. Because I know, just imagine traipsing around your house with these shoes. I just can't do it. I have never been raised with putting my shoes on and wearing them around the house. We have to take our shoes off. Like, I grew up in Japan. I took my shoes off at 5 years old, and I have not stopped since. That's how I was trained, that's how I was taught, and that's how I will continue doing my thing. So that's where I am right now. like doing a performance by yourself, which would usually be what I would be doing now, you can actually use GarageBand if you need like beats and stuff and create the beats underlaying it. Use the iPad and travel with the iPad. So it's a lot easier. So you don't have to carry a whole bunch of things. You might have to use a speaker of some sort, but you can easily find a speaker that has accessibility for cables for an iPad these days. So that's basically it. That would be another concept. And I'm going to link some of the clips of the things that I've done before in the past. Sorry for not wearing the makeup, and as I said, I'm growing my hair out now, so I'm not going to root my hair. I do my own hair. I think it's time, because I have broken out into some sort of rash, to give my body a rest. It is the end of the year and my birthday is next week Sunday, so I'm literally just kind of working through stuff. And thank you again. I thought I needed to explain why I wasn't teaching in schools, because of hygienic issues that I've come across that have not been resolved in certain areas. And I think teachers do not get enough credit for trying to help people understand that hygiene comes first before anything, and cleaning up everything. Like in Japan, you learn how to clean your own stuff. I think too many people in the States think that their parents need to clean up their socks and do their laundry. When I was growing up as a child, I cleaned my own socks and I did my own laundry, and I refused people to do any of my laundry because I didn't think it was very responsible, and I was a responsible person. And growing up in Japan, you learn to do the basic structures. You grow up fast is what's going on. And I don't think enough people here in the States are teaching their kids responsibility. Like I have no talk. If there was more responsibility, people would not be behaving so badly on TikTok, because TikTok has appalling behavior, and I don't think I am very thrilled with how young people are talking to grown-ups and assume that it's okay to talk to them a certain way. Same thing applies for cleaning. If you learn how to clean things at a young age, it gives you a better opportunity to understand responsibility as you get older. And once you get older, you understand that responsibility matters for jobs, for businesses, for lifestyle, for career. It matters. It's a very, very important skill. So beyond music, we're talking about responsibility. And that's what I have for today. And arigatou gozaimashita, and matashita sayonara, and I will speak to you guys in the next one.